If you are brand new to sync licensing and you want to get started with putting some of your tracks out to libraries, this is the video for you. And I've gotten a few of these emails from brand new students and producers that are looking to get in the side of the business. And there's a little bit of confusion about what it really takes to do well on the side of the business. And it really comes down to, is it really worth your time throwing your tracks at a library? Because for many of you watching this video, it probably won't even be worth your time or effort to throw any music into this side of the business until you're ready to really devote some serious time to it, okay? So this was an email I just got today, so it's kind of the top of my head, but it was a producer who had 2 tracks that he was really interested in getting out into the sync licensing world, and he was kind of talking about how he really loved them. They were really special tracks to him, but he was just really trying to find the right home for them. And he wanted to know if using one of my services, Sync Edge, would be useful for him because he's looking to find, a recommended high quality library. And I responded and just said, you know what, I appreciate you reaching out, but I got to be honest with you, 2 tracks, it's just not worth it. You can use Sync Edge to find a library, but I don't want to mislead you into thinking that 2 tracks is going to get you anywhere in this business. Many libraries might not even accept 2 tracks because that might be too small of a number these days. I'm not saying it's impossible. It could be possible, but these days, libraries are almost expecting you to have a full album's worth of music, which means 10 or 12 tracks ready to be exclusively licensed to them. Meaning you can't have music also on Spotify or in other libraries or in royalty-free outlets or anything like that, right? You have to exclusively allow them to shop your music for you for TV placements. So coming to a library with 2 tracks and having all these high expectations about getting into the licensing business, to me, it just seems like you're going to set yourself up for a big cold smack in the face, and you're going to realize real quickly that's not going to do anything for you. And I see a lot of producers do this. I actually just got a really cool comment on my channel about a producer who kind of went at it really hard, produced a bunch of music, actually got 2 deals through Sync Edge, but then sort of didn't see any results too quickly. So he just kind of gave up on it and did something else. This last quarter from BMI, he got his first royalty statement, actually got significant income. He says it's more than he's been making with his Spotify and his streaming hustle and everything he's been doing on the other side of the music business. And now he's kind of kicking himself for giving up on it. And now he's realizing he needs to jump back into it and keep producing. So this is, like it or hate it, this is a numbers game, okay? Going into a library and giving them 2 tracks when they already have, let's say, 10,000 tracks that are already in their library, and you think that 2 tracks is going to hopefully jump out magically and get all the placements and get tons of income generated for you. I'm not saying anything's impossible. Of course, you could be at the right place at the right time and do really well with those 2 tracks, but let's be smart about this. Let's play the odds, right? We need to have a large number of tracks in a catalog with a library that is well suited for us, that our music is well suited for them, rather. And so the number of tracks we have in that catalog is large enough that the odds of getting a placement are significantly higher than having 2 tracks in it, okay? 10 tracks is 5 times your odds, right? You're 5xing your odds of getting a placement just by having high quality numbers. Now, always remember though that that doesn't mean you're going to be throwing garbage into a catalog and just, hey, as long as it's a track and there's a start and an end and it has music in it, who cares how good it is? No, you don't want to, sabotage yourself that way by having really low quality tracks that will be passed over and ignored, because sometimes if your brand gets tarnished by really low quality tracks, people will just see your name or your artist name or producer name in a catalog and go, steer clear, no good. Nothing he or she ever does is good. Let's just move on to somebody else. So it isn't necessarily just a quantity issue. You don't want to just have high quantity tracks. You do need to balance it out with some quality as well. So finding that balance of producing music and keeping it at a high quality. But I don't want anybody to be misled into getting into this business and thinking that you can succeed by just having a couple of tracks you've produced and then submitting them and just sitting on your thumbs and seeing what happens. You will be sitting on your thumbs probably for a long time, and you might never see any royalties, because I have more than 2 tracks in my catalog that have never earned me any royalties ever. So if I was expecting and counting on just 2 tracks in my catalog to carry me through, I might be still waiting 13 years later, as I've been in this business now, for some royalties that pop in, and maybe they never would have gotten placed. So You have to bake that into the cake. You have to expect that some of your tracks probably won't get placements ever, and there's going to be some, though, that'll do really well. But you don't know, and I don't know, which ones are going to be those awesome ones or those ones that just sit on the shelf. We have no idea, right? We can do our best in terms of keeping the quality high and trying to crank out as much as we can, but everything else completely out of our control, right? The clients, what they want for their music, for their for their programs, and what kind of tracks they think are cool. Maybe, you know, one of their kids is into some sort of artist, and so they want music like that artist because they think that's what kids are going to like, and your tracks happen to sound like that kind of new, young, you know, trendy sound. All of this is way out of our control. We can't do anything about that. But what you can control is quantity. Getting that number up to the point where you're constantly cranking out music, and at least doing, I would say, at least an album per month. That's where you should be shooting for, at least that 10 tracks per month. So by the end of the year, you got 12 albums out there, right? 120 tracks or even more if you're doing 12 tracks per album. So now your numbers are much more significantly positioned so that you can actually count on getting some decent placements coming in through the libraries that you're partnered with, okay? That's why for some of you guys listening to that right now, that sounds like way too much work. You're not that interested in sync licensing. You thought it would just be something you can throw some extra music at and hope some income comes your way. This isn't that kind of a business. You can do that. You can just throw stuff to libraries and just see what happens, but just keep your expectations just above the floor, essentially, that you probably won't get too much. And if you do get something, just be really grateful that you did. This is a full-time hustle. Like, this really can be your full-time income source, but you do have to devote some real significant interest and energy to it. And besides, you know, to me, it feels like this should be a no-brainer, because if you're going to call yourself a music producer and I tell you, hey, by the way, you're going to have to produce music to make income in this business, and people go like, I don't know if I want to do all that work. It's like, what did you call yourself? Didn't you just call yourself a music producer? Isn't that what your job is? Isn't that what you're calling yourself? Isn't that how you identify as somebody who produces music? So if I'm telling you there's an opportunity to consistently produce music for an outlet, a lane, a niche, a marketplace that's willing to pay you for that and give you, not only just pay you, but give you passive income potential that could last you decades into your future, why aren't you jumping up and down and being super excited to work, right? And to produce music and to constantly grow and challenge yourself and maybe collaborate and work with other producers and all that kind of stuff. This is why this business usually fits for some producers and it doesn't for others, because some people are just looking for a quick buck. They're just looking for a quick, easy answer to making money with their music. And it doesn't exist. And that's why so many producers and musicians are just lost and don't have income and don't know how to really make money with their music, because they're constantly chasing these shiny distractions and these things that they think are going to make them a lot of money without a lot of effort. But the real path to success in any endeavor is, it's low, it's slow, there's a grind to it. You got to hustle, you got to push, you got to find motivation, you got to consistently show up. And you're going to find that as you go along that path, as many of us in Sync Academy, our awesome community, are finding out, more people flake out and burn out than stay the course. You'll find that actually as you go into this business. And that's why you probably don't know many people that are doing this full time. I might be the only person you've ever seen that does sync licensing full time. There's a few other people online that talk about it, so you've probably seen them maybe, but you probably don't know anybody in your personal life that does this. And it's just because of that fact, because it's not easy and it's not something that comes quick, and it certainly doesn't come to you because you got 2 tracks that you had on your hard drive that you want to throw to a library. So make a decision if you want to get into this business that it is going to be work, and you're going to have to hustle, and you're going to have to grind, and you're going to have to stay consistent and stay motivated and stay connected. Okay. The reason why I created Sync Academy, our awesome, really cool, powerful platform, is because of that very fact, that it is a potentially and usually a very lonely business to be a part of, because you're working from your home studio and you're working remotely. And so the most you're going to get communication wise with your library is usually emails, texts, sometimes phone calls, but you know, you're not really working and having coworkers and having sort of a community that you're surrounded by. So the next best thing is you could have an online community where you can check in. It's basically like a private Facebook. Think of it just a Facebook only dedicated to sync licensing. That's all we talk about. where you can check in with other producers, you can collaborate, you can meet them, you can post a track, get some feedback, you can watch our tutorials, get educated, get some knowledge, get informed about the business aspects, producing, mixing, mastering, all different types of things that you could probably want to learn about this business, or just, share how you've been feeling about your career. If you're feeling burned out, you can log in and say, hey, I'm a little bit burned out. I don't know if this is something I should continue with. Has anybody felt this way before? And you will find many producers have definitely felt exactly how you felt. So that's what we have there, is to make this process a little more comfortable for you. I'm not going to make it sound like it's going to be easier. It's still going to be hard. It's still going to be a challenge for you, but at least you won't be alone, right? In these challenges and these endeavors, you won't be completely isolated by yourself. And as long as you're not isolated, you can push through anything, right? If you have some support from a community, you can push these really, really tough moments, and sometimes just the daily grind of it, not even big challenges, but just sort of, it's a Tuesday and you're not excited about making music again. So you just need a little bit of a check-in and kind of a connection with somebody else who might have had something similar happen to them. So that's what we were trying to do in Sync Academy, to help you guys out that are willing to take this really cool journey with us into the future of this business. So that's what I got for you guys today. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your week.